Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here. We are back for another one of our monthly Patreon campaign episodes of our Vaesen campaign called Mundus Novus. As a reminder, we all are on the third arc of this campaign, but for you all watching, this is only the first arc you are seeing. The first two arcs were filmed, well, not filmed, were played non-streamed. But if you'd like any catch-up, join us over in the Discord. There's plenty of chit chat in the Mundus Novus chat. There's also information on our Wikipedia page. You guys can find that link in the chat and in the description, all that fun stuff. And if you'd like to support this channel, like these fine folks here, the best way to do that is over on our Patreon, link in the description down below. While you're down there clicking on that link, make sure you click on that Discord link, join us in the Discord, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. And without further ado, which is an appropriate turn of phrase for where we are, previously on Mundus Novus. Inside the hallowed halls of Église Saint-Lumière, our investigators began setting up their temporary headquarters to begin properly assessing the situation at hand. Cleaning, organizing clues, and assembling resources were the tasks, while Cyrus and Martha puzzled over the connections between the altar and the aetherscope. Eventually, when no more information could be garnered from within the church walls, the investigators headed to the French Quarter in search of Liliane Gauthier. So that is where we pick up. I always forget the number here. The six of you, because one of you is invisible. The six of you, a dog and a bird. Yes. Find yourselves in, it's like a cavalcade of characters here. Find yourselves inside the small corner shop, the humble corner shop, covered in greenery and books and the smell of dried herbs of Liliane Gauthier. This place is called the Verdant Vale. And when we last left here, I believe it was Alec who had found a book called, I don't know, I want to say Lines and Veils just because that's funny. Veins of the Veil, which is that. And Signy had found two books called The Green Witch's Grimoire and Divine Divination. And William had gone ahead and restocked his supplies of herbal medicine. Again, as a reminder, we see Lillian, and I'll reread her description here. Lillian Gauthier is in her late 20s and exudes an ethereal presence. She has long, voluminous, and curly dark hair that cascades down her rich, warm brown skin, and her striking green eyes that seem to hold depths of ancient wisdom. Her attire is a blend of practical and bohemian style, often adorned with herbs and crystals, reflecting her connection to nature. So you are all in her store. Obviously, is it Emerson? Is that the dog's name? Hell yeah, that's off at the top of the dome. Emerson is perched outside as a guard dog, and as there are far too many people to fit inside this store and a dog. Yeah, so we'll pick up inside the Verdant Vale. What are all of you doing inside here?
I think Signy is, she's currently poring over those books because she picked up a lot of information from them. So I think she's just like standing off to the side wherever that little bookshelf was located. And currently right now she's just flipping and scanning.
Okay.
Martha is going to send little Eddie on a spy mission.
Oh.
So she whispers to little Eddie some things only little Eddie can hear, and asks little Eddie to go very inconspicuously flit around the shop and see if he can find any clues, maybe any clues related to maybe a secret key or like a secret entrance or secret back room type thing, or maybe any clues around something to do with werewolves or witches, so like an herb they would have used, or blood, that there was a fight, or a werewolf hair, anything a raven could find.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, go ahead and let me see here. Eddie's going to give you a +1 to this roll. Go ahead and roll me an investigation with a bonus +1 for Eddie.
Okay, investigation. Submit. Oh, I got 2.
A 2. Okay. I'm gonna keep that in mind right up here. Let's see what everyone else is doing. As I wasn't prepared for the Scooby-Doo gang to start Scooby-Dooing 1 second into the show.
I think Alec is carrying around like a load of books. Like has pulled books off of like multiple shelves and is just carrying like a gigantic stack of them. Had discovered the diary, which I think you said you were going to provide more information on in this session, but
I did say that. Veins of the Veil. Let me see here. Where did I put this? Oops. What I did was I revealed all my secrets and didn't put that in the GM notes like I was supposed to do.
Perfect.
Yeah, let me go ahead and fix that so you guys can't see all of the secrets inherently in that book. Yeah, so the basics for this, the book is written by Seraphine Dubois, a renowned local witch, and who has dedicated her life to studying mystical energies that crisscross the Louisiana landscape. And the contents of the book seems to be an in-depth exploration of the ley lines that intersect and influence the greater New Orleans area. Yeah, that's the basics of what is in this. If you'd like to dig deeper, you'd have to like spend some time with that.
Alec will leave that for later. But as they're walking around the shop, they're also looking for silver, not the liquid silver that others were looking for or whatever that stuff was called, but actual silver.
I think we were looking for I think we looked for colloidal silver and couldn't find it, and then we're looking for silver leaf to grind into powder, right?
Oh, you're
Yes.
looking for that. Alec
Yes.
is looking for silver, like a silver dagger or silver something. Silver. Alec wouldn't know about turning stuff into silver powder, so.
Okay, excellent. You too can roll me an investigation.
Since the dog is outside, that will not help. Is that correct?
Correct at this moment. One success there as well. Okay, perfect. So 1 success for that. 2 successes for Wintress. Signy is reading a book. Cyrus and William, what are you two doing?
When we first got there, I already had talked with her about restocking supplies.
Correct.
She didn't have any barbiturates or anything like that, but I think we got some leaf. And
she had coca and she had sleeping drafts that were, at least in her opinion, equivalent strength to like barbitol.
But I know we touched on the silver thing. What was the result of the silver leaf? We had to go somewhere else for that, right?
No, silver leaf, while not a common thing that she would sell, she would have. It's at this point in time, it's used for like people use it in writing. So like, yeah, she would have a few leaflets that she would be willing to part with, which you can procure with the amount of resource you have on hand. Easy enough to find. Not something she stocks, but something she just had on hand. Which I will say, given that she just had it on hand, likely she either writes letters from this location, or writes with it in this location, or she may live here. This may be one of those like she lives above the store kind of thing. So yes, easily findable silver leaf.
Cool. He'll take whatever she's got and then see if he can borrow mortar and pestle, grind it up as much as he can, put it into some kind of vial or something.
So many mortar and pestles. You have a gallery of mortar and pestles here. Perfect. Yeah, you can easily do that and scrape the remnants out into a small vial. I'm sure you have plenty of those as a doctor. Okay, perfect. And lastly, Cyrus, what are you up to?
Well, since excuse me, since a lot of the attention has turned towards books and looking at the shopwares, Cyrus is going to talk to Miss it's Gautier.
Gautier.
He's going to go talk to Miss Gautier for a bit.
Okay. So we will resolve that one last. We see inside the shop as Alec is perusing through the guise of carrying books. You look around and you're attempting to find anything silver that is more of an obtuse item, like a dagger or something that is, possibly weaponizable. You do see a small dagger on a bookshelf. There are like a candlestick with like a black candle and like a candlestick with a purple candle, and there seems to be like a almost like an ornamental placement of this dagger. There are little brackets that it sits upon on top of a shelf, and I believe Alec was on the taller side, easily reachable for you, but you can tell that given her short stature, Lillian would need some sort of like a stepping stool to get this. It's not readily accessible. And you can also see with one success on the investigation that there is I wouldn't say like an unclean amount of dust, but there is enough dust that like it hasn't been dusted this week in the area that does not indicate that this has been removed in at least a week or touched in at least a week. That's the first thing you notice. Martha, how do I describe this from the perspective of a bird? You watch as Eddie sort of flits around, hopping from bookshelf to bookshelf and like armoire and hutch. And you see that behind what is only identifiable as like the counter based on the fact that there's a till on it. Behind that, like side by side, are two door jambs, one of which contains an actual door, the other which contains a rod that runs across the top of it where beads sort of hang down. You see him sort of flit about back and forth on these things, and you see that he lands on top of the bar and sort of takes off into the room behind there. And he disappears for I wouldn't say a few minutes, but less multiple minutes and more moments, more than moments. He flits around back there, and you can still kind of see through the beaded curtain. It's not like completely opaque. Him sort of moving around back there, and you see him flit back out the same way he came, and he is carrying a flower in his mouth. It is a lovely purple, like a bright purple on the exterior, and it sort of like dilutes to like almost like a lilac or like a very pale blue as it goes in. And the flower itself kind of has like a strange like hooked shape where like the petals like bloom outward, but it like tapers in like as if it hangs kind of like a bluebell almost, like it hangs off the stem. And you see that he has it sort of clutched in his beak, and he flits back across and sort of lands on your shoulder and drops this purple flower into your waiting hand. You see this purple flower. Roll me. Actually, you know what? You got 2 successes here. So Wintress, I'm going to ask you, why does Martha know what this flower is?
Well, if it's local, then
it is local, but it's also all over the country.
Okay. Well, Martha, having played often as a young girl around the surrounding countryside and around the gardens in the nunnery, seems to remember that it was in one of those places.
Okay. And that's perfect. As a child, not to say that you are one now, of course, but as a child, it is a beautiful flower. The way the petals form, kind of in that like circular drooping. You've heard of this as referred to by the nuns as monkshood, and you were told to stay away from it because its consumption is deadly. It is a toxic plant.
Very interesting.
And so yeah, so Eddie drops this into your outstretched hand. You have this. You identify it as a toxic, poisonous plant. And then we cut over to Cyrus. Cyrus, you have gathered alone with well, not alone. I mean, it's a small store, right? It's probably like awkwardly shaped because it's a corner building, but it's probably like, I don't know, maybe 12 by 14 total area space in here. So Cyrus, you see all of your companions are sort of spread out in here, doing their best attempt at subtle investigation. And you take up the position as the face, and you sort of walk up to Miss Gautier. And how does that present to us?
Well, first off, if Cyrus knows everyone's kind of doing their thing and looking around, so he tries to position himself a little opposite where everyone else is to kind of keep her gaze on him and not everyone else, to give them a little bit more free reign. But that's just really, kind of positioning. And then he greets her. Miss Gautier, we were sent to your shop, referred here by a Madame Boudreau, of which we are acquainted. One of the things she mentioned that she had purchased from you was a charm or several charms to help protect her from some of the more nefarious things that have been going on in the city. So I was curious, these charms that you sell, do you make them yourself, or are you just reselling them from someone else?
Oh no, all the charms, any charms, tinctures, potions, spell jars, bundles, etc., are all created here in-house by myself. I'm the only one here.
Oh, I see. And may I ask, without prying too much, where did you learn the trade yourself?
Oh, I've been practicing since I was a young girl. My grandmother actually is the one that taught me, and she too was a practicing witch and healer in the community.
Huh? And would you describe yourself that way as well, as a practicing witch?
Oh, I would.
Huh? How acquainted are you with the other witches in the community? Well, those that you would know about, of course.
Well, the community isn't it isn't as large as one would hope or one might think, given the rumors and the stories here of in the French Quarter. But it's enough that it can drum up some business, and it's not like we have a book club. Most of us are aware in some manner of others. Usually I can spot someone who is a practitioner versus a tourist who comes into my shop. It's safe to assume that many of the shop owners of a similar kind would practice holistic medicine. And there are some practitioners who have lived here for quite some time. But I would say I would at least be acquainted with a good number of them.
I see. I guess I'm curious if there's any larger covens that might that might be here, not just necessarily in the French Quarter, but in the broader city. I find it odd that as you described, they're kind of far and few in between, but I see lots of symbols kind of strewn throughout the city. It seems unlikely that it's just one or two witches putting those up. So you're not aware of any larger. Sorry, sidebar. What was the name of the head witch that we came up with on the boat?
It's Marie Laveau.
Laveau. Are you familiar with a Madame Laveau?
Oh, okay. I see. I apologize. I should have guessed by the retinue of assorted folks you've brought with you. Yes, if you're looking for Madame Laveau, you'll leave this door and you'll head down a few blocks. She runs a salon.
Ah, interesting. And
yes,
and
she caters and she kind of like motions to like the eclectic look of your group. And she caters to both the wealthy and tourists as well. And in a tight spot, others can find appointments as well. I do believe her clientele is mostly female, though. So if you have a personal interest, sir, I think you might be out of luck. But that is where she meets most of her extracurricular clientele, if you're looking for a seance, if the coin is right.
I see. Yes, I don't have any interaction with her personally, just by reputation. What is your impression of Madame Laveau? You said
Cyrus.
seance, so would you say that she is a well, not to put too fine a point on it, but a true practitioner, or would you say that she is more for, let's call it, entertainment purposes?
Cyrus, roll me an observation.
Awesome. Oh, wrong window. Observation. Let's do this.
Best skill.
Go. And go. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. One success.
Okay, one success. First of all, you can tell that there has been a slight shift in her demeanor as she has pegged all of you as tourists. So any like goodwill that you might not be tourists, the moment you asked about Marie Laveau, 100% branded you as a tourist. So her countenance changed a little bit, not negatively. You can just see like her weight shifts, and the way she's addressing your questions are now all centered from like the point that she's talking to tourists and not like other practitioners or other people interested in. So Marie Laveau runs a beauty parlor, and that is where she meets most of her clients and can be hired for seances. So she looks to you and she says, Madame Laveau is a practitioner. She is the religious leader in New Orleans when it comes to the practice, and she is well known both inside and clearly outside of the city. Her services are most often purchased by the wealthy who wish to treat our practice as a parlor trick and seldom by those who are earnestly seeking to speak with those who have passed beyond the veil. What she does is real. If you are seeking a seance, if you are seeking someone to reach beyond, she can barter that transaction for you. I hope that answers your question.
So Cyrus, he tries to play this off as natural, but just kind of tries to do this very like as he's a little lost in thought, but kind of subconsciously goes and just like kind of does this scratch on his shoulder. So he tries to make it look like it's just casual. He's not really thinking about it, but he's moving his shirt over so the arcane tattoos would show that he has across the top of his chest. And so he'll kind of absentmindedly go, I see. Well, that's good information. If myself or my companions would decide to partake of her services, if she is not a true practitioner, I would know. But I appreciate your information.
She looks to you and says, "Excuse me, I don't believe I caught your name, sir."
My name is Cyrus Kincaid.
And Monsieur Kincaid, what brings you to the Verdant Vale specifically, out of any of the other herbalist shops here?
As I said, we were referred here by Madame Rudreau.
And how do you, the lot of you, a good number all at once, how are you associated with Madame Boudreau?
We are acquaintances, and we were visiting Madame Rudreau as we had business in the city for other reasons, and in talking to her, I noticed that she had purchased some additional charms for protection, and I inquired as to where she had bought them. And as a we'll just say as a person of interest in the occult that I have, I thought it might be interesting to speak to the witch that had created them.
I see. And what, excuse me for saying so, but judging by your accent, I can only assume you're not from New Orleans. What brings you here? On travel, business, pleasure?
We're here on business.
Can I roll something, Michael?
Yeah. What would you like to roll? And for why?
I think she
roll for eavesdropping.
Well, I do have an eagle eye, so I get +2 to vigilance, but I want to know if she's specifically like fishing for information. Like she's not just making casual conversation, right? It's like that's the vibe I'm getting.
Roll me observation.
I can do that. Can I get +2 for vigilance for my eagle?
No, because that's for vigilance.
Okay.
Yeah. Observation is empathy.
And I still have a condition. One success.
100%. Everything Cyrus has asked, while under the guise of being mundane questions, they are a little bit specific, and then fit in moderately appropriately as a tourist, and then he revealed something that no one else could see. And all of a sudden, she took a keen interest in what he was saying, as if Cyrus perhaps revealed something to this woman. And yeah, she's 100% digging for information. In a very much like the most pleasant version of why are you asking me these questions and who are you? So she is reverse investigating you is the inference you get. Yeah. She looks to you, Cyrus, and she says, well, yes, I have worked with Madame Boudreau for quite some years. I knew her, and I knew her husband, the late pastor, and it's only in recent years that she has, since his passing, that she has come a regular patron here. I do believe she did attend the salon for Madame Laveau, but she does seem to frequent the Verdant Vale more often. And apart from charms and gris-gris and other such protections, that's what she comes here for. Teas, tinctures.
I see. Well, I don't want you to be taking this as a as me questioning your skill and your expertise here, but Madame Roureau does seem a bit frightened right now, and as a person that I would like to see protected and come to no harm if she is purchasing charms. I wanted to make sure that the charms were authentic and were going to be effective. So hence my questions. If they are a bit off-putting to you, then was not my intention. I simply mean to guarantee that my acquaintance, my friend, is protected in the way that she has intended.
I assure you that anything that leaves my shop is designed to do exactly what it was created for. It would be untoward of me to send a client, whether a tourist or otherwise, with the false hope that what they have purchased will do what they purchased it for. It would be deceptive. It would be against everything that I believe in. So if there are charms that were created by me inside of Madame Boudreau's house, as I have said, then they are all intended to do exactly what she purchased them for. If they are other practitioners or perhaps charlatans, then that is to their own. But anything that is purchased here is set with the intentions for which I created it.
I see. Well, thank you so much for sharing a bit of your integrity on your product. I appreciate it.
Cyrus, with your previous one successful investigation, and I'll say with Signy as well on that other one, her mannerism changed again during that last conversation, and she very much took on a defensive, but not like deceptive tone. In that, like, her reputation is that of a healer and a practitioner, and to say otherwise is like a slap in the face. So not exactly offense, because she has no idea who you are to be offended by at this point in time, but it was very much a defensive, let me tell you that what I've done here is everything is as on the level as I have said it is, because that's my reputation you're talking about, and my reputation is all I have, essentially. So you'll both note the slightly defensive tone she took, and that she did get a little bit more loud and proud about it than she was before. Her voice, the timbre of her voice changed a bit in that. She looks to you again and she says, "Why so curious about the protection of Madame Boudreau? Outside of being concerned acquaintance."
Well, she was concerned for her own safety from some of the things that were happening in the city. Are you not concerned with the? I mean, we've only been here for a few days, and we've already read about attacks, murders, in the city, whether recently or in the recent past. It's not news that's making it kind of more outside, I don't think, but once we got here, it seemed to be well covered by the press. Is this something that you're not concerned about yourself?
Are you speaking of the recent murders in the city?
Yes, the recent murders.
I have found that if you keep your nose clean, as they say, and mind one's own business, you often find yourself not in the places where such tragedies happen. So I am not concerned. I go about my daily business. I don't seem to ruffle any feathers, and as far as I know, no one has any grudges against me, whether a practitioner or a tourist or a local. No one seems to have any grudges against me, and therefore I feel fairly safe.
Well, that's good. That's it's a terrible thing to live in fear.
What about you, Mr. Kincaid? Do you feel safe here in the city?
I never feel safe anywhere I am. And yet I don't let fear dictate how I live my life. So yes and no. But I don't feel any additional fear here than anywhere else, really. At least not yet. If I have reason to fear, I will. Well.
Mr. Kincaid, would you allow me to do a reading for you?
I don't mind, and the information might be interesting. However, I will tell you that reading for me may not be, well, there is some danger in reading me for those who might do it. So I will not want you to walk into this with your eyes not wide open, but if you would like to do a reading, you're certainly welcome.
She sort of takes you by the hand, very demurely, but also like as if she's leading you. She's leading this dance, and she begins to separate you from your companions. You would all see this happen. She is leading Cyrus around the counter towards the beaded curtain. Cyrus, do you or any of your companions say anything?
Signy is not happy about that. So
Why, Signy? Are you?
As soon as she touches him, no, I'm just kidding. No, she ever since like
not my man's.
Yeah. Ever since this conversation has like shifted, especially about when he's talking about Madame Boudreau and the safety and stuff, like, do you feel safe, and talking about the murders, she's literally just been holding the book, but she's watching them, and so she is paying attention. And as soon as she asks about the reading, yeah, Signy like lowers the book and she's paying attention to them.
Okay. Anyone else?
Cyrus will just let her take him by the hand and lead him to the back, and he kind of turns back to the group, and if he notices anybody looking, apparently Signy, Cyrus will just give her a wink.
Right.
He just gives her a wink.
We're used to Cyrus wandering off with women at this point. I mean, it's just like
that's true.
Yeah, it never turned out well.
This isn't new.
Never turned out well.
Try to kill him.
That's always the first time.
Oh shit!
Please don't let me die.
Yeah. So sorry. Does Cyrus wink at her? Because she looks concerned.
He does. Yeah. He sure.
Okay. And when he winks, she's like, and she looks very concerned. She might even like make to start following.
If you move to start following, as she like parts the beaded curtain, anyone looking at Cyrus and Lillian, you can see the back room of this place. And if you thought the front room, like front of house, was packed full of shelves and stuff, there are like herbs hanging from the ceiling, drying. There are shelves, like a bookshelf, just lined with like jars of herbs, liquids, etc. Candles. This looks like what you imagine to be a witch's workshop would be. Like if you were to picture that in your character's head. She parts the curtains and motions for Cyrus to enter. And Cyrus, you see that in the center, in not like in chalk as in drawn, like chalk on a chalkboard, but in powdered chalk form. So like there are powdered lines on the ground, forming like esoteric symbols. In the center of that is a low, probably like thigh-high table with two like poof cushions on either side of it. She motions you towards that, and glancing back at Signy, who if you've taken a step toward them, she looks to you and she says, "Please, one at a time." And she closes the curtains and they sort of swing, clacking against each other. And I will separate the group and I'll ask, now that Cyrus is gone, and it's very apparent that Cyrus is gone, what are the rest of you doing now that Lillian and Cyrus have departed?
There were no windows into that back room, right?
No.
Then I would like to know if I can kind of send Eddie over there to kind of just keep an eye on it and like let me know if he's drinking anything or eating anything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will say roll me what is it? Is it stealth? It's not stealth. It's it's stealth. Roll me stealth with a +1 for Eddie.
Stealth with a +1. All right. My stealth is not exciting, but I will give it a shot. No.
Okay. Either way, Eddie can perch on top of the bar that separates the beaded curtain room, the back room from where you are. And that's it. I will say above table, Lillian's going to notice a big old raven just sitting up on there, especially since it was like on your shoulder for a minute. So she notices the bird, but doesn't like shoo Eddie away. Yeah, so okay, so that is what Martha is doing. What about everyone else?
Alec is gonna grab that silver dagger on the top shelf.
Okay.
Put it on top of the gigantic pile of books that they have collected and take it to the front desk. I presume there is a desk where you check out, right?
There is a counter covered in stuff. That the only way you can tell that it's the counter is because there's a till.
Great. So wherever the till is, and then there's gotta be on the other side of this desk or counter, work stuff like notes and business books and things, right?
One would assume,
stuff
yes.
associated with running the business.
Yep. That's one would assume.
Alec's gonna start getting into her business.
Okay. In that case, I would like you to roll me a stealth.
Oh, I don't know about that. Okay.
It is a beaded curtain. And as you begin to like walk closer to the beaded curtain, you see that Cyrus's back is to you, meaning that Lillian is facing. It's a beaded curtain, but she is facing the direction you are in. Obviously, she should be focused on Cyrus, but
all right. So the goal here is we're already there, right?
Yeah.
So let's. Alex not a very stealthy person, and they know that about themselves. So they're going to like lean in and look around and be nosy. Is that fair?
It's still fair, but it's still going to require a stealth roll.
All right. This is going to go poorly, everyone. It's going to go very bad.
And she get a bonus because Cyrus is so charming. Of course, her attention would all be on him.
You know what? Yeah.
Plus, she's distracted by the big raven that's sitting
by
up
the
there.
bird. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. You know what? I'll take that. I'll give you a +1 on that one.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Alec is the most subtle one in the room right now.
Clearly, Cyrus only went to the back room to distract her, right? That was the only reason.
Yeah, that didn't help, as I knew it wouldn't.
Okay. All that means is there's a possibility that she may see you, or that in your haste, as you lean over, you may knock something down.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what is Signy and or William doing?
Are we going to roll and investigate on looking around?
Oh, you will.
Okay.
You will.
All right.
I promise you.
Perhaps.
But I want to know what everyone's doing before we jump in.
So William is trying to figure out if he can somehow assemble something with the stuff he has in his bag, essentially to store that powdered silver, but make it like keep it in his pocket, but be able to pull it out, crush it or something so that it's powderized in his hand. Does that make sense? Without, somebody just bumps into him and it just shatters in his pocket.
You want pocket sand? You want silver? Yeah. You want silver pocket sand? Okay,
yes, but I just don't want it like, powder in the pocket, right?
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page. Yeah. You can. In fact, you know what? I'll say you probably have this, right? It would be of the time, right? There are things that came in like powdered form. So imagine one of those like envelopes that's like a very small envelope that you kind of tip open and you'd pour it into like a drink, to like an Alka-Seltzer kind of thing. So I assume in your bag you'd have these little envelopes. So realistically, all you'd have to do is like tear the envelope or just prop the envelope open and sort of just like at somebody, and that would aerosol the powder in their direction. Yeah, so I would say you could easily seal it because they probably have the same sort of envelope sealing, like the wax on it or the glue, the horse glue, and you just rip the top off and sort of toss it at them, and that would serve that purpose, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, close enough.
Okay,
so we have a realistic mechanism for that to happen.
Yes.
So that works. And aside from that, he, having seen Cyrus get led away, and everybody else is trying to listen, and he's going to just sidle over there and kind of see if you can't listen as well.
Okay. And do we get something from Suspicious Signy? Lovelorn Signy? Who knows?
When William's walking by, just because I imagine him being the closest, she says to him in a dropped tone, so her voice is not going to carry into the other room. She says to William, she started fishing for information. She's suspicious of our motives here and what we're doing in this city. I think we need to be cautious with what we're telling her. And then she cuts her eyes towards the other room where she randomly took Cyrus to do a reading.
I think Cyrus is proven quite often now that he's pretty good at fishing himself. So he might come out of this with a little bit more information that she intended either. So this is a good thing.
She nods. Let's hope so. We just
I'm
don't
still
want-
gonna go listen in though.
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah,
still
me
head for the
too.
door.
So I will take an investigation from Signy, Alec, and William.
Holy
Wow.
Jesus, Alec. Holy crap.
I know it all.
holy
Shit.
That was
Okay.
a 5
Wow.
for folks who
Five
can't see that anyway.
I
I
don't
so
think I've ever
the
seen
big-
rolls that high.
Not since Martha's
that's
poker game.
7. You got 5 out of 7. Okay. All right.
Alec officially knows everything.
Okay. All right. Here's what I'm gonna say. Jesus Christmas. All right. So
Mystery over.
There better be a lot in those ledgers.
there's ledgers. To say, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the way that the investigation skill fully works is you get to start asking me some questions. I get to answer your questions. I'll get the exact number here in 1 second, as soon as my book starts to actually function for me. So in an investigation check, if you succeed, the game master will provide you with clues. If you roll more successes than required, I decide whether you find some more clues. All right, so then I'm gonna flip this. I'm gonna let you ask me questions. So the book says the investigation skill is not used to find hidden things such as doors or traps, or to uncover hidden clues. So you describe searching the right place, which you have, and you get clues. So what are you looking for here? What are you trying to prove or disprove? Yeah, what do you want to know about Lillian Gauthier? And bear in mind, this is from, I'll say, like, it's 75% business, 25% personal. And I will give you for free, based on the what you're seeing around here, that the closed door directly to the right of the beaded curtain is a door to a stairwell to her apartment.
Okay. I think what Alec is trying to figure out is whether or not Lillian would represent or would be like a member of like the witch's side of this like conflict, and or
Okay.
have connections to the witch's side of the conflict that they are aware of, and that might be represented maybe by in the business ledger, maybe repeat customers. In scheduling, maybe there is a frequent location or meeting that they go to. Maybe in the personal information, there is maybe there's meetings held here in the shop. So that's the first question, is like,
Okay.
does she relate? Is she involved in this organization? And I presume it would be the witch's side. And or does she know somebody who is associated with the witch's side?
Okay, so answering that question, we'll say that there is a schedule, right? There's like a date book here for appointments for like readings and that kind of thing. At no point does it make any reference to any famed witches here in the city. There are appointments. There are several recurring appointments. Like there are a number of various recurring on like a monthly or bi-monthly basis. These look, to your best knowledge, look, without like knowing who these people are, they look like clients. Or like you see Madame Boudreau's name on there. She's on like a monthly basis coming to visit. There's also notes of shipments from local growers. Obviously, she can't grow everything here on her own. And there is on a monthly basis, there's on a monthly basis. Yeah, I'll say you have enough information with 5 successes, and because you've looked at rotations of the moon before, on a monthly basis on the new moon, there is something that denotes like ritual practice. Like this is like a religious gathering, right? Like this is like a mass, almost. Other than that, so that would kind of indicate that yes, witch side. She also did call herself blatantly a witch. But nothing here looks untoward, right? Nothing looks bad so far.
So, that is neither here nor there. That's a judgment. Is is there anything that would allow them to research that further, like a location where that mass is held, or a recurring name, which would be someone that they would look up?
Mm,
How many
interesting.
questions do I get, by the way? So that's number
I'm gonna
two,
give
right?
you. I'm gonna give you five.
Okay.
So I feel like that's still one. Are
Okay.
there other names?
I was
That
a
Good.
suggestion maybe like if she has like a ledger of who's buying shit, it would be like
Yeah, a
Joe
recurring name.
Blow bought this, and then Sophie bought that. Like does she see any
The
that
only
way?
the only ledger with a name would be if someone requested something she didn't have on hand.
Mhm.
So if she had it on hand, she just purchased it, and then she'll mark down like what was purchased so she can restock. But if she doesn't have something, or someone orders a quantity that she doesn't have in store, there'd be annotations for that in like the sides of the ledger.
In my
Um,
opinion, special orders would be more likely to be legitimate orders. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Because,
yes,
yeah.
I know what you're insinuating. Um, yes. Okay. So here's what I will say in response to that. Nothing in here, with your limited knowledge of the practice, um, nothing in here indicates a quantity that would make you suspicious of a large ritual or gathering. Like she's not. If there is a supplier in the city, either it's multiple people or not her. Either they're buying from everybody, whoever the they is, or she's not the one supplier. Everything
So
in
is
here seems reasonable quantity.
so is your answer to this first question that she legitimately does not seem to be actively involved in this? That is, she is a member of the witches organization, but she doesn't appear to be like driving some sort of secret
Correct. In
group
in
or
this
anything like that.
ledger, that is what it seems like. It seems like she is an upfront business person, and she is very was very adamant about her reputation. In that she keeps her nose out of things, and that she delivers on what is promised.
Um, okay, so my next question is this. Um, Given what I see, what is the most legitimate like item for sale in this shop? Like, you know, most awesomely witchy magical item in this shop?
Ooh, um, okay. Um, what? So, as Alec, an erudite transcendentalist, what would you think is the most witchy, like what would strike Alec as being the most witchy thing? Like there are gree bags, there are like bundles of various herbs bound, there are amulets, there are tokens and totems. um but there are obviously books, grimoires, spell components here. What would Alec be drawn to, or what kind of magical witchcrafty thing would Alec be drawn to?
I think that's the
Clearly a
wrong
book.
question. That's the wrong question to ask, Mike, because Alec is an academic, is used to discovering patterns in words and ledgers and documents of all forms, right? So what Alec is looking for is patterns which would indicate something. So for example, the conversation that we had about like special orders, like somebody who's a tourist is going to come in and pick up a gree or whatever that is that you said it is, right?
Mhm.
But if it's not in stock, uh like that's not what a tourist is going to come and pick up. So somebody is who comes in and is asking for something that's not in stock is an actual practitioner, right? So that's the type of pattern that Alec is looking for to, number one, indicate who are the cool customers, number one, and number two, what are the awesome things, right? Like, what are the really cool things that they could get their hands on?
Okay, cool. Great clarification. Disappointing answer.
Oh, no.
There's nothing here with what you would associate with like the cool kids, right? Like the what are like the clearly magical things. Nothing being sold here, even in quantities that are special order. Nothing in here is anything other than, for lack of better word, mundane herbs. Everything here is of the natural world in some capacity. Nothing is exotic. And based on the fact that you lived in universities and libraries for like the last 10 years of your life, everything in here can either be procured here in the United States, or on shipments that come over from Haiti. So nothing is like across the ocean. Realistically, nothing is exotic. Like hell, the most exotic thing in here in this place is probably, I don't know, Signy and Cyrus. Like they're the farthest foreign away from in here. Which at the same time, while boring of an answer, legitimizes the practice. What she's doing is natural. The what she gives off is that of a practicing naturalist witch. To include all the books you saw before on the shelf, they were all about being in tune with nature, using nature's gift and nature's bounty to perform these things. So it's really about the ingestation of specific plants, i.e. plant medicine, the inhalation of plants, similar to like hape, which would be like a both a native and like South American plant that you can sort of snort that kind of gives you like mild, like not hallucinogenic, but like a mild head high. Combinations of bundles of herbs for things like ritualistic, like smudges or cleansings and things like that. So everything about this place seems legitimate, but not in the way that you're looking for. The lack of fantastical legitimizes the normalcy of what she's doing. This makes it no difference than like a Catholic practice. It's just as much as Martha would hate to hear those words, it makes it seem normal, right? There's no fantasy to it. I'll say that's at least two questions.
All right.
There's stuff in the chat, Melissa, if you want any of that.
I see it.
Okay.
Yep.
Just want to make sure.
So I just want to understand what you're telling me, Mike. When I think of things like ley lines and like things that have like magical compasses that like, you know, have interpretive symbols on them that you can like get messages from the beyond with, that kind of thing. That seems like fantastical to me, right?
Okay.
So the world itself has opportunities for like this for it to be fantastical. But what you're saying is that there is no indication that she is involved in any of that kind of fantastical thing. She's only involved in the very real practice of witchcraft.
Correct. Yeah. So like, if you were to like, I'll say, because you have books, right? And you've had a few moments to like parse through some of them quickly with what I assume is patented speed reading. Like hape, for example, is often used in ceremony to like help you commune with like ancestors. So like in the sense of like, that's kind of like a seance, but a naturalistic way to go about that, right? The same way that like psilocybin could help you on a spirit journey. Natural, a little fantastical, but like nothing seems anywhere near what Cyrus has done or what you have seen, right? Does that make sense? Like you've
Yep.
seen actual monsters, and
Yep.
you've seen Cyrus actually summon a ghost.
Right.
This seems like, you know, if somebody in like the Catholic Church came down and would like laid on hands and
Sure.
healed somebody, that would be a miracle equivalent to like what Cyrus is doing compared to like what this person's doing and a regular pastor would be doing, right?
Right. Okay, I
Very-
get that.
Very mundane witchcraft then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
regular witchcraft.
Regular
Is there anything like is there anything up with these records? Like, you know, she paying her taxes? Is she like what's that word when you're trying to move money around in suspicious ways? I forget
Laundering?
Yeah,
Is
she's
she laundering?
laundering. Is she does she have like a pot sales in the back that she, you know, because that's like natural too, right? Like is she like
Yeah.
distributing? Is she
Well, I don't know. I don't know that weed was illegal in the 1800s. I
Something
don't
was
think that
illegal, I'm
weed.
sure.
Um,
Something was illegal.
they sold William coca leaf, so like I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know that weed was illegal yet. I don't know what the U.S. tax code looked like in the late 1800s either. But everything seems like her ledger seems appropriate for what you would imagine. Given what like the only thing suspicious about this, and perhaps it's the fact that it's a big tourist and trade and market city, is that she owns a shop or rents or whatever, a shop / apartment, and mostly sells like what you would consider baubles, books, and herbs. So she must be making a killing to afford an entire shop and apartment on there.
Well, I think this next question is part of this third question. So
Okay.
we've just talked about the business, and it sounds like the business is being very legitimately run.
Yes.
What about the personal things? Is there like any indication of something that is, I don't know, salacious or, you know, something going on there?
You know what? With a 5 is a damn good number. I will say.
Yeah, you got to give me something out of all these questions, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have gotten some stuff. Whether you realize it or not is a different story. You go back further in yeah, I'll say, you know what? You have a personal agenda and a business agenda, right? The business agenda marks like clients and those kind of things. The personal one would have marked the new moon ritual. You go back, you flip back a little bit, and you do notice that there was on the agenda, there were 3 nondescript meetings. It just said a person's name and a time. Which is, you know, indicative of a personal agenda. If I know where it is, I don't need to write down where it is. And the second 2 events are crossed off, meaning the first one happened and something happened to cancel or disregard the second 2. And the person's name is Margot LaFleur, and I'll put that in chat so for the spelling aficionados. So you see a meeting with a Margot LaFleur, marked, and I'll say this is this is a suspicious way to mark a date. That it is the date of the first event. Actually, the date of all 3 events predate the first murder. So that's your kind of time frame, since we're not working with actual dates in this time warbly world. So all 3 meetings would have taken place before the first of any murders, but the second 2 meetings are crossed off. That strikes you as that's the only crossed off meeting you find in her book.
She doesn't have a second black book where she's like got a list of male clients, like dominatrix in a dungeon kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nothing that salacious. No?
She also has a burn book where she's
Yeah.
just writing, just hexing people in the side pages.
All right, I have 2 questions left, and I don't know if this is going anywhere. So my ask is this: like, number 1, can you give me something? Or if you
Okay.
can't, if there's nothing left in this barrel, can I save them?
You can save them. You can save them as long as they are about Lillian. So you have 2 other investigative clues about Lillian. And what I will say to you is to confirm and wrap this up. This investigative part. Lillian seems like she's on the up and up. Everything points to she is not involved in this. And she did speak to Cyrus and sort of heavy-handedly, perhaps, kind of said, I keep my nose out of this business, and so I feel safe. So it is either your best guess based on what you're seeing is here is that she is actively keeping her nose out of this business. So she may know more, but she's actively keeping out of it. And she believes, based on what she said to Cyrus, that doing so gives her reason to be safe. So sticking your nose where it doesn't belong gives you a target, and shutting the hell up and moving on with your life makes you safe, is her belief. So it seems as though, yes, she's involved in the greater witch community of New Orleans, but actively not involved in whatever the hell's happening here. Which seems like, which is a choice, which to make that choice, you have to know more, right? You have to know who to avoid, what not to say, when not to say it. So that's kind of, I think, like the greater clue here, is that she must know more than she's saying to avoid saying what she shouldn't say.
All right.
But yeah, you have two banked questions, as long as they pertain to Lillian Gautier.
All right, so Alex going to turn around and kind of clear their throat to get Signy's attention.
She does.
And-
She looks.
And with Alex back to the bead door, I think is what we're looking at, will mouth her apartment and then gesture with her head to the door, and then raise an eyebrow as if in question, like
She
a
also
question.
raises an eyebrow. A little too close for comfort, don't you think?
Nothing
something-
ventured, nothing gained.
True, but don't know if we want to burn this bridge just yet.
Do you think maybe she has a bathroom around here? I think I got to pee.
Well, you'd have to ask.
You'd have to ask her, and also you don't see any other doors in this room.
Well, maybe there's a restroom behind this door.
Yes,
She
Martha,
might she
possibly.
might have a restroom here for customers. Or more of the shop.
Well, shall we light this bridge?
Well, I'm just gonna go look for the bathroom. I don't know what y'all are doing.
Yeah, she's a nun.
I gotta pee.
Oh, fuck.
By all means, Martha.
And
This whole time she's been a nun.
she says quietly to Alec, "There's nothing untoward about a nun."
Nothing.
With
I forgot.
with a bladder issue. Come on.
Oh shit! That makes everything that happened so much funnier. That
Nuns,
she's
they're just
been a
like us.
full
They have
nun.
Go pee in peace, sister.
Campaign.
Go with
Nun in the
God.
witch's house.
Go with God, Martha.
Oh, if that's not a kid's book, The Nun in the Witch's House that's not a fucking Brothers Grimm story. Okay, before you're able to attempt a B&E, we cut through the beaded curtain into the back room with Cyrus, completely unaware of anything that is happening here. Shit. I just want to double check that stealth was 0. Yeah, stealth was 0. Cool. Cool. Yeah, Cyrus, you are led to this back room, surrounded by shelves lined with jars of herbs, softly glowing candles, and the air is scented with a mix of lavender and sage, sort of a calming atmosphere. And as I said, there's that small round table in the center. And she, positions you with your back to the door, and she walks around and sits on the opposite side. She places a bowl, a copper bowl on the table, and you can see the bowl is full of water. It's like tepid room temperature water, and you can see that there are like sprigs of sage. There are rose petals. You see a small quartz, and by small I mean like the size of a golf ball. A quartz at the bottom of this basin, and she takes your hands and places them in the bowl, as long as you don't resist her. She places your hands in the bowl, and she sort of begins like ceremoniously washing your hands, as she's like passing the water over your hands, sort of back and forth. And the whole time she's talking about like clearing the energies for the reading. And once she has that done, she removes your hands, she towels them dry, places the bowl off, and has you place your hands palm up on the table. She places one hand underneath yours, and you see that she's like tracing over the various lines and creases in your hand with like a very, very like almost ticklish light touch, right? And her eyes sort of flick back and forth across your hand. You see her eyes flick to your face and watch like whatever facial like any muscle movement you make as she's tracing these lines, as she begins to talk through your palm reading. She looks to you and she says, your heart line is very well defined. It curves upward toward the fingers. This line shows that you are a man of deep feeling and passion. You have loved fiercely and suffered great loss. And here, there is a break here. This here tells of a betrayal or a heartbreak. Based on where it is, this happened in your past, not a future event. And it is clear by this that you carry the weight of past decisions, and their consequences lie heavily on your heart. And as a reminder, William, you can hear all of this. William and not Sydney. Sydney, you are too distracted by whatever the hell Alec is doing in their new sleuthing skills. But William, you can hear all of this.
So Cyrus is trying to get a read on whether she's doing a more, I would say, mundane reading of the lines, or if she's just using that as a focus to focus more occult or kind of magical energy. And if she's doing the latter, then Cyrus is going to try to counter read her while she's doing that. If she's going to open up, he's going to go read her.
Hell yeah. Dope. Okay, so what I want you to do is roll to figure that out. And you're gonna roll me
some witchy bullshit battle here going on.
Witchy bullshit battle. I am absolutely here for it. Yeah. Does Sixth Sense help you here? Let's find out.
Sixth Sense is I get extra things when investigating.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So I think you're gonna roll me an investigate. Actually, I'm gonna spice things up here. I'm gonna have you roll me investigate, but instead of using logic, I'm gonna have you use empathy. So this might be a manual roll here. So this is gonna be empathy, so it's gonna ignore your mental condition.
Yeah.
And I will say that you can use Sixth Sense for this.
Okay. Let's.
Very interesting.
So that would be just a straight empathy roll then?
No, empathy plus whatever your investigation is. So empathy plus 1.
Okay. Yeah. So that's empathy plus 1 is 5. And then Sixth Sense doesn't give me a bonus, it just adds stuff. So
Correct.
So that's /R 5d6.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's right. Do I have anything else? I have some bank successes, but those are only applied to my demise, and I'm sure it doesn't count.
Well, here's what I'll say.
I got one success.
I will say you have a banked success if you'd like to use it here. She is reading your palm, and at some point, one of the lines is your lifeline. So if you think that this could apply to your demise,
I'll use one of those 2 bank successes, so that gives me 2 successes.
That gives you 2 successes. Okay, perfect. 100% she is using your hand the same way that you use a crystal ball as a focus.
Great.
So by all self-practice, what she's doing seems completely legit. Like she's not giving you the con. She is legitimately, to the best of her skill and practice, is reading your palm with the same confidence with which you read through the orb, through the crystal ball, right? So that is one success there. So that answers your first question. The bonus success that you added for it dealing with your potential demise, I will let you take that as a additional die forward on attempts to have a witchy bullshit battle. So what are you doing are you trying to block her from successfully reading your palm, or are you trying to get a read on her?
I'm trying to get a read on her.
Okay. That's going to be
she wants
empathy.
to read my dark bullshit. Go right ahead.
Yeah. That's going to be empathy, and I'm going to give you a bonus of 1, an additional bonus of 1 for that success you just used.
So, sorry, roll another empathy?
This is going to be an observation. So observation is you're going to be reading her.
Observation with a +1 bonus.
With a +1, yep. Got and this is to see if you can get the same sort of bead on her as she's getting on you. Okay, I will say you can take a condition. You can mark a condition and roll again.
I'm really.
You do ignore mental conditions for now.
Yeah, I'm gonna take an angry.
Okay. And you can re-roll and you still get the same bonus.
And I'm gonna re-roll that because I don't fail on this stuff.
Come on.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me!
No.
Listen, nothing in the rules prevents you from continuing to take conditions until you are broken.
No. Oh, no, I'm actually angry now.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, whatever it is the calm demeanor of her. It's the smell of the room. What it is you are trying. You recognize what she's doing, and you recognize the legitimacy of what it is, and in your attempts to not exactly counter, but like look through the same window, right? This is her house. It is not your house. This is her center of power, and it's less of reading the other person through the same window. It's like this is made to be her domain, right? The scented water, the herbs in the water, the herbs that are burning, the candles, all of this is her ritual space. And whatever that is preventing you from gaining the access, the foresight that you would have wanted in this moment. But again, all of that, for the fact that you cannot further legitimizes her abilities. That she is at least as skilled as you are, if not perhaps more. So she reads your heartline and then moves on to another one. She notices she notes the line that sort of that chains across your hand, and she says, "This is your headline. You see that there are several interlinking almost crosses that form like a chain. Your mind, Mr. Kincaid, is a battlefield. These markings here indicate a life fraught with mental challenges and decisions that haunt you. The presence here," and she notes another line, "of your Mercury line branching down from your headline towards the mount of Mercury suggests that you are susceptible to the spirits. Perhaps you have had a whisper on the wind that you're not quite sure is in fact a whisper, or dreams that felt more like memories or deja vu. This line here, however, is blurred and fragmented, suggesting that there may be some confusion or interference in your mind. This here, your lifeline. And she looks at you, and there is like a note of like, the easiest way to explain this is on medical shows when they say the patient didn't make it, that sort of look they have before they speak to the family. She has that kind of look on her face, and she says, "Your lifeline here, it wavers and is thin. This often indicates a weakening of life force, a draining of vitality, something that a waning disorder, perhaps, or something to do with your fullness of life is missing. You are not seeking whatever you'd like to seek, and it is weighing heavily on you in a way that affects your health. It seems to the wave of your lifeline. It's almost as if a tide pulling sand away from the shore. And here, your fate line. Your fate line is strong. It starts strong here at the base of your palm and becomes fragmented as it moves up. It shows that you've had a clear purpose in life, a strong drive towards destiny, but that recent events are causing your path to become uncertain. Have there been disruptive changes in your life within the last few years?
There's nothing in my life that's not a disruptive change.
I see. What is your profession, Mr. Kincaid?
I'm a tracker. I've been a hunter and track beasts in the wild, and I find people if so needed.
Have you ever encountered something beyond your understanding?
I've encountered many things beyond my understanding, and I try my best to learn how to understand them.
They're here on your palm, and she like squeezes your hand together, like at the knuckles, to sort of like make a crease in the center of your hand, to make the line more pronounced. She says here, and sort of traces this crevasse. And she says this a very faint line here. If you note, there are a slight crisscross here, and she points it out to you, and you can see, well, like it can be interpreted as a crisscross. These lines indicate that you have been marked by well, some manner of supernatural force. And you can see that she is staring directly at your face for any like twinge of muscle movement as she says this.
Yeah, she'll see Cyrus. He'll look up, and his head, like you can see, like it's clearly like he's running through things, and he just says almost almost as a whisper, but like in more in his own head than out loud. He just says, like a curse.
Well, it seems as though your life has been deeply intertwined, more so than most I have ever seen, with the supernatural. If I had to guess, based on the wave here, and you can tell like she's using wave as like the way she described before, like a tide pulling sand back. You can see a strong line in certain places, and it weakens as it goes further. So it's that kind of like the sand washing away a drawing on the beach. She says, "This. Have you ever had have you been a sailor or extended journey at sea, or did you almost drown as a child?"
All of those things.
Huh. I'm getting that you're tied intrinsically to the ocean in a very real and supernatural way. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Mr. Kincaid, you mentioned a curse without batting an eye. Are you aware that you are cursed?
Not until now.
And then you mustn't be aware that it is killing you.
Not until now.
I intended this to be a bit of a way to poke fun at you and to offer you advice that what you are seeking here in the city is unsafe on its best day. But that may be just fine for you. If this is not addressed, I don't know how much longer you'll have to worry about your own safety.
I understand.
Please. And she excuses herself from the little poof cushion, and she gets up, and you see her rummaging through some drawers, and she's procuring things off of the shelves, and she returns with what you would know, having been here before and having practiced somewhat yourself, a gree bag, to which she has on a leather like necklace strap, and it is a probably like 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch like leather satchel. You have seen her put herbs and some sort of liquid and sort of like mortar and pestle some of it together and pack this, and then has secured it with what looks like a small bone to like seal the package closed. And she says, "If I may," and she goes to put it around your head.
Cyrus gives a small, like a slight smile, and says, "Will appreciate any help that you're willing to offer me. I if this curse is killing me, then I don't know not to question your skill, but I don't know how much it's going to help, but it is freely accepted in the spirit in which it's given. Thank you.
She places it around your neck, and mechanically you can add a gree bag to your inventory, and this will give you a +1 versus witchy bullshit.
Great.
Your own demise.
And then Cyrus says, since we're being open with one another here, I will say, I let you do this reading for probably the same reasons that you wanted to do it in the first place, to get a feel of how legitimate you were. And I have to say, I'm quite impressed. More so, you surprised me a bit, and that doesn't happen a lot. So, there is something not right with the city, and I hope that you're on the right side of that. It sounds to me like you're trying to stay out of the fray. So whatever it is, hopefully it doesn't come for you anyway.
Well, it seems as though we were trying to get a feel for each other, and your nun friend. Their bird has been perched atop my door watching us, and the quiet young man you traveled with has been bent over my counter for the last several minutes.
I certainly have no questions about you or your abilities at this point, so hopefully they have not done any harm.
Nothing that I can see, and nothing that I'm going to bother with.
Excellent.
I do advise you to take care of whatever is troubling you. Because even if you solve whatever problems you have here in the city, that will still follow you.
I understand. I appreciate your insight here. And it's only right that I pay for the reading. What's his
she is still like half standing because she put the necklace around you. She says, given what information I told you and my superfluous reasons for having you come back here, this one was on the house. But if you should need further consultation, I'll happily take the coin of a tourist.
He laughs a bit. So, you know my name, and if you are ever in need of consultation, or need to, as I said, I'm a tracker. If you ever need to find someone where I could return the favor in kind, assuming present problem solved at some point here, feel free.
She will help you up off of this little cushion, and as you approach the beaded curtain, she sort of like dusts off where her dress was on the ground, at the knees, and she kind of over her shoulder, like she's going to be the first one going through the door. She kind of over her shoulder to you says, "Deep breath, brave face," and then she walks through the door. Or she goes to walk through the beaded curtain. The second before she does that, who's trying to break and enter?
Break and enter?
Hmm?
Just nosily listening. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah, William, you've heard all of this. You are now fully aware that Cyrus is cursed.
And angry.
And angry about it. But of the remaining, Martha, Signy, and Alec, who has a bathroom problem?
I was just trying to find the bathroom.
Okay. So if it's Martha, in sequential order, you walk around the counter and go to turn the knob and it clicks as it is locked, and seconds later, the beaded curtain moves away. And I'll say just enough time for Martha to have, if you would like to, Martha, to have heard deep breath, brave face as she opens the curtain and comes back out. And behind her is Cyrus. I will ask Cyrus, how do you come back out? What do you look like for everyone who's looking at Cyrus?
Signias.
I bet.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cyrus comes out. Well, one, he's wearing a bag over his neck, a new greedy bag. But he's also he comes out his jaws set. He just looks very determined, I guess, is maybe about the best way to describe it. Like he's got this face, like it's one of these looks of like, I have a mission. Like that's his look right now. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. He comes out very determined and ready for work. And she comes out looking exactly how she came in. There's a smile on her face. She seems soft and like flowing as she moves through the door. And she sort of very casually and with a smile that only the perceptive and Cyrus would notice. She has this little half smile and she says, "I hope everything was to your liking and you found everything that you were looking for. Is there anything else I could be of service with?"
Oh, yes, I'd like to purchase all of these. And Alec has a tower of books. The handwritten one is at the top. On top of that is the silver dagger. Mechanically speaking, Mike, the most of those books would just go into the generic book collection.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what you want to do about the one about the ley lines and the
that's going to be a separate book, and that's actually going to go eventually. It'll go into the library for like the same way with the other book from the first act of this.
Since Cyrus is behind her, whoever it might be looking his way, he just does this quick gesture where he points at Madame Gautier and then he points at her, goes like this, and then points at all of you. So they're just like, and then kind of does a little frown, and then just lets it go.
She looks to you and says, the dagger is not for sale. There's no price tag on it. The books, absolutely, they are yours to buy. That shelf is ornamental. It is a shrine.
Apologies.
It's okay. You had no way of knowing.
Shall I return the dagger for you? Here, let me take care of that. Let me take care of that.
Okay.
And Alec will place it back where it was, and it'll kind of like be askew and kind of fall a little bit, but you know.
But you did your best.
They did their best, yeah.
Yeah, you did what you consider at that moment your best. You did the best you wanted to do.
A little discombobulated from Cyrus's gestures, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh, just
Martha, you were gonna say
before Alec buys all their books, Martha would have found any book that had a picture of that monk flower in it and tossed it on the top of the stack.
Oh yeah. You can flip through some pages and you threw a book on there that has monk's hood on there. Yeah, I assume you have hidden that flower away somewhere, so it's not just like you're just hanging onto a.
Yeah, no, I would have tucked it when the raven brought it. I would have tucked it,
sure,
in probably with the chocolate or the sugar or something.
I will caution you against that. Perhaps a different pocket.
Or maybe
I'll,
fold it.
I'll keep the pouch separate.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Because the flower is 100% toxic.
Maybe between the leaves of the book.
Yeah. In
Oh,
between
there
the
we go.
because Lord knows, you just eat a handful of candy and then Martha dies. She eats monkshood. Outstanding. This right here is the benefits of having a witchy girlfriend, is that I can just expound witchy bullshit on everything. And it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I don't, is spoilers. So yeah, she will let you purchase all of these items. You have them, you can add them to your ever-growing backpack library, which I imagine is just like the mask seller from like Majora's Mask. He just has the huge backpack of books that Alec carries around. She rings you out. You exchange currencies.
So he also has her 2 books on his pile.
Yes, yep. Yeah, all of the books are purchased, and all of them
3
are
books for everyone.
already. The ones that have been named are already in the library in here. The Green Witch's Grimoire, the Divine Divination, and Veins of the Veil already listed in your books, and can be added to the library back at New Arkham. Yes, she rings you all out. There are pleasantries had. Nothing is mentioned about the bird or why Martha was behind the counter when she came out, or why Alec was leaning over the counter for several minutes, or why or why William and Signy are just ever so attempting to listen at the door. Everything is sort of glossed over. And she is very nice about everything. As if you are done here, she escorts you to the door and she says, by all means, the Verdant Veil is at your disposal if you should need anything in the future. And if I can be of any help, please don't hesitate. And while she says this sort of openly, anyone who'd like to can roll me a either an investigation or a observation. Anyone who's interested.
God damn it.
2
There
for
it
me.
is.
If only, John.
Now I roll something.
All right, Alec. Alec, she is saying this to everybody in general, but she is looking only at Cyrus when she says this. And that is apparent to you. Signy, Cyrus, and Martha, same kind of thing. This was spoken aloud, but the words were for Cyrus. You immediately get that. And I will say Signy and Martha, there is something behind, actually, Signy, Martha, and Cyrus, but Cyrus, you have a little more insight into this. There is something behind her words where she genuinely wants to help Cyrus. And whether that is about the mystery that you're discussing at large, or just Cyrus in general, or for Signy, whether there's something there in the back room. Either way, she genuinely wants to help Cyrus with whatever he seems to need help for. And she seems on the up and up about it. Like, she seems like she is genuinely interested in helping him. And Cyrus, you garner all of that as well. But you have the distinct feeling that with pressure seems like the wrong word here. With enough conversation and enough involvement, that her stance on neutrality is not as stable as she would have you believe. She is close to being able to assist you all, if that makes sense. Given that she has seen the genuine concern, whether you have admitted it or not, the genuine concern that you know that there's something happening in the city and that you're generally concerned for the welfare of people in the city. She has seen that as a true value, and she is that much closer to being on the side of stopping what's happening than she is as remaining neutral and safe as possible. You note that of anyone here. So everyone sees that she's absolutely not talking to all of you and is talking to Cyrus. Signy and Martha, you see that she genuinely wants to help him. And Cyrus, you see that she is teetering on the brink of going from neutral to good, right? Cool. So she returns to her store, and you are met with Emerson, who is very happy to see you back, despite it only being like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so in there. You are all on the street in the French Quarter. Where are you headed? What are you doing next?
What time is it?
It is, I'll say you kind of did your thing in the morning, splitting up, going to the nunnery and the library and all that stuff and the place. You came back, had a bunch of time at the actual church, and then went out for this. I will say it is post dinner time. So it's nearing like, I'll say 6 o'clock here. And if I'm not mistaken, it is November. So I imagine in November it is probably close to getting dark. I think Louisiana is like Central Time. So in the next hour it will be dark,
So
if not
Cyrus-
already like waning.
maybe we
Does
should
Cyrus
pick up
still
some.
have
Go
the
ahead.
cloud over his head? Sorry, Melissa.
Good.
Does Cyrus still have the cloud over his head?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So perhaps we should pick up some sandwiches or beignets. Do they serve beignets this late in the day? And head to
Oh,
the
it's
cemetery?
it's New Orleans. They have beignets all the time.
Yeah, I think that's a
In my
24/7
New
thing there.
Orleans, it's beignets 24 hours a day.
All right, excellent. Perhaps we should pick up some beignets and head to the cemetery.
Get a
Do we
shrimp
need to go
hobo.
back to the cemetery, or can we go to our hotel?
Oh, well, there was
I don't know.
some
We want to sleep
additional
in the
work.
church again.
No,
Ah,
No,
okay.
the cemetery
no.
to do the seance,
this, yes.
right? Yeah.
It's looking to be dark soon.
We can either do the cemetery, or if we can get access to one of the victims at another location, is there a possibility for us to get into the coroner's office to get to look at one of those bodies again without being observed? Whichever the cemetery will present more challenges in getting the right spirits to come forth. It would be easier with the coroner, but we can just go into the cemetery, whereas the coroner's office might be a little more challenging.
We would
I will
have-
say, Cyrus,
Sorry,
I
go
will
ahead.
say you would know based on your conversation with who you presume to be the gravekeeper. It's fairly open here. It doesn't lock at the end of the night. If the gates close, but like you can, they're not going to stop people from like visiting their dead at all hours of the night, as long as you're not desecrating. And there is the nighttime or the young man who was with the gravekeeper probably does rounds every so often to make sure no one's like getting some rich tourist isn't getting sloshed in the graveyard. Matt, you were saying something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was saying that the coroner would not be receptive to us trying to perform a seance on the recently deceased, and short
Accurate.
of breaking in the middle of the night, which William wouldn't be too keen on anyway. I don't think that would happen.
All right.
Now we could find out where the more recently buried are from it. In fact, we might actually already have done
I've already
that.
talked to the gravekeeper about that. I have a location, but we are in a graveyard and it's chocked full of spirits. So as I said, it's not unsurmountable, but it would be easier at the coroner's office. But if we can't get in, we can't get in.
It's not a question of getting in, it's more a question of doing what you want there.
Well, we'd have to do it after hours when essentially, ideally it would be closed and no one would be around.
I don't know, does a coroner's office close? Or bodies would be coming in at all hours, wouldn't they?
Um, it would close, but not in the way that not the way that you were suspecting, right? Like she would be on call. And like if something came in, she would wake up. Or whoever the on-call ME would be would wake up.
There would be
So
people there, basically.
yeah, so there would be
Yeah.
someone there, but it would still be like it would be closed unless like someone is coming and they're expecting a body, right? They usually phone ahead before they just drop off a corpse. So the door would probably be locked for safety reasons as they're sleeping in there.
Okay, so yeah, even if we broke in, there would be people there. So still seems like not a good idea.
All right, then the graveyard it is. I do need a little time. Our visit at the shop. I need some time to prepare. I'm not quite in the right headspace to do a seance without taking a little time. But once that's done, we can make our way out. I will say that Madame Gautier there, she is the real deal. She has skill, she has ability, particularly in her own shop. She's quite formidable, and I think that given a little more conversation with her, we might be able to get more information or even some help. She does seem generally concerned for what's going on, but for the moment wants to stay out of the fray.
We will not trick it out of her. She has a rigorous commitment to keeping her nose clean. I think it would be best in this case, Cyrus, to build a trusting relationship with her if you want additional information.
I agree. I think that's a good read. I didn't get a sense that she's doing anything. Well, I didn't get a sense that she's involved more directly, but I think she definitely knows. Sorry, Signa, go ahead.
Sorry, Signa will say she was definitely fishing you for information.
Well, of course, she's quite shrewd, that one, for her young age.
It's a relationship to cultivate, I think.
Agreed. Yeah, that's for another day.
Okay. I feel like Cyrus needs a little bit of a break, and it's been hours into the day. It is time for dinner. Where do the six of you sup for this evening?
Well, in the location that we're at now, is there anything? I mean, we're fairly practical.
Yeah, you're on like
a diner right there on the corner or whatever. It's like
there's diners, and I Googled it, so don't you worry. Po' boys were invented in the late 19th century, which is exactly where we are. So you got your shrimp po' boy, you got your oyster po' boy, you got your you got all the fixins. Yeah, so there are good.
I think Alec would look to Martha to determine where they're going to eat.
Okay. Martha, what would you recommend?
Well, and I just start rattling off restaurants. I have like, so and so has the best gumbo in town, and I'm just like way too much information, right? But you can't eat the sausage because sometimes she puts a little too much alligator in it, and it's a little just real chewy. So if you're gonna eat the gumbo, you really have to like just make sure that you tell her to like either not put the sausage in and you got to eat the shrimp instead, or if she didn't catch any alligator that week, it's a little bit better. And then I go into like more detail on like 6 other restaurants. We can have jambalaya, we can have gumbo, we can have fresh seafood, we can have steaks, but those can be a little odd too. It's really seafood is like the best thing in New Orleans, but we do have some farms, and those farms sometimes have cows, and then the cows are sometimes good, but you really got to check at how they like actually stored the meat the night before, because occasionally like they leave it out a little bit too much and then it smells. So or you have to get it well done. So, and she goes on and on for a good 40 minutes.
William will cut her off and say, tell you what, how about this? Why don't you pick a place where you think you would like to eat that's within 10 minutes of here?
Perfect. Well, why didn't you just start there?
And is not conspicuous that a nun would be eaten there.
Okay, then. All right, so she recommends some kind of in like one of those places only locals would know about. So it's nice with kind of finer dining, but sort of a hole in the wall at the same time, which New Orleans is just famous for those sorts of things, right? And so where only the locals would know that, because the front doesn't look very good, only the locals would know that it's got like this delicious food inside.
Yeah, it's a refurbished streetcar. Yeah, so it's taken off the tracks, and the essentially the track wheels are on blocks, and it is taken off, and it looks like it looks the same way that like an old school diner would kind of look, in that like weird train car style, but it's an actual New Orleans streetcar that the benches have been refurbished and made into like little, so it only seats like maybe 15 to 20 people. So finding it and getting to it are rare. But they do have everything that Martha has listed off, right? They have shrimp, they have crawfish, they have fish, oysters, crab, they have catfish, alligator, snake, the whole deal, duck. Yeah, the whole deal. So yeah, they have everything. So more than you could imagine and less than you could want is what they serve here. And for people who haven't been that far south, it's an experience. It's an experience. So Signy, this is a lot of actually you're from like Scotland, right? So like haggis and things, right? You fit right in. It's haggis of the sea. It's really what you got here.
Jesus.
That sounds so awful.
It hurt to say, John. It hurt to say. And as we see a nice familial dinner happening after a hard day of investigating, that is where we will end this session of Mundus Novus. This episode obviously being called La Nuit Tombe, which is or Tombe, which means the night falls. Yeah, that is the end of this session. You all have a delicious familial dinner where you can chat in low voices about all the clues you may or may not. Matt,
mechanically, can I use my memento?
Yeah.
To take a little time in the corner to look like I'm sulking, but really trying to
yeah, absolutely
heal one of my conditions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Cool. That will wrap up this episode. Let's go around, do our introduction so that we can get the hell out of here and do our after show. I feel like there's a lot to talk about in this one. We will start with the person I harassed the most today. John, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
Hey, yes, I am John. Ask why in the Discord. Yeah, the one you harass the most. I think that's on brand for every episode we have, but that's okay. I'm not saying I feel picked on in any way, shape, or form, although it's true. So, canonically. Yeah, in terms of presence on the internet, not a lot. We'll see this particular chit stream, as well as, using it to look things up and learn things and waste time. So that's about it. But if anything, the unMadeGaming Discord space is where I can be found sometimes.
Hell yeah. From John, we'll drop over to Wintress. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I am Wintress Odom, and you can find me here whenever we play this game, and elsewise on all of the really boring social media profiles that middle-aged women of my age usually have, like Facebook and LinkedIn. So, yeah, and then that's basically it. If you want to message me, you can, and I'll see it eventually.
Hell yeah. We'll jump right over. I'm on all those places too.
All the really boring ones that, like, the notoriously boring ones were like, oh, I know exactly what social media profiles she has. It's like, yeah, that's
They
me.
are so. I'm on them too, and they are so boring. That being said, Matt, we'll go to you next. Who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
I'm Matt, and aside from here in the unMadeGaming Discord, you can basically find me, like I said, raiding in World of Warcraft. That's my other hobby. Yeah, but I don't really maintain any kind of social media presence because it's just annoying.
Agreed. Melissa, you're up next. Who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Hi, y'all. Melissa Meyer, draftier in the Discord and elsewhere. I am a patron of Mike's, so you can see me reflected in being a patron of Mike's. So I'll be in chats and some of the streams that are patron streams and those types of things. I am also an artist. I haven't been putting out a whole lot because I've actually been working on a big project now for probably 3 or 4 months. So maybe someday I'll finish that. That'll be good.
It's super cool. I've seen it. I've seen it, and it's very cool. And I'm mad about how cool it is. It's so cool that I'm mad about it. That's
Don't be mad
that's the
about it. Don't be mad
it's
about it.
it's so cool, and there's so much talent just in it that I'm mad about how cool it is. If I could craft with art the way I can craft with words, man, you guys would be in trouble. In trouble.
Gameswithstories.com link is in the chat there.
Go check it out. Gameswithstories.com. Find all of the amazing art that Melissa has done over the years for tabletop stuff. It's very cool.
Scroll down to the bottom of the main page and you'll see our beloved Cyrus right there.
Oh yeah, all the characters. That's true. That's true. I forgot about that because it's been so long. All the characters you see on screen all have art done by Melissa. They're all on their own Roll20 character sheets and not pictured here. But every single character has.
They're in Games with Stories. So if you go to
no, I mean not on the not on the stream exactly, not on the stream on the page. But go check out Games with Stories. You can find all of the characters and see what they look like. See who you're watching. Yeah, hell yeah, definitely check that out. And last but not least, the puppy dog, heart-eyed. This is my equivalent of at the end of the game when you're like, "Fuck you, Mike. This one's for me. This one's for me." G, who are you? Where can we find you? And what are you up to?
Hi, I'm G, the friendly neighborhood lightning invoker. You'll find me in all things unMadeGaming, either modding for the regular streams or playing in all the Patreon games. We're done for the month of May, so we have The Rise next month, and the Patreon one-shots, and this game, and Atari Twilight Age of Always, which is not Patreon, scheduled TBD, and you'll find me in the Discord all the time.
Hell yeah. All right, friends, that is it from all of us. Bullshit with us. But that's it from us. We will see you guys next time. So from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.